When someone suffers sudden cardiac arrest, the primary pump of the circulatory system fails completely. The heart stops beating. Without systemic circulation pushing fresh blood to the upper body, global cerebral blood flow plummets. Within exactly 6 to 8 seconds of this drop in pressure, a person will lose consciousness. By the 8 to 10 second mark, the brain's localized oxygen stores are entirely depleted. But here we encounter a strange biological reality. The patient appears clinically dead and completely unresponsive, yet the brain itself is not electrically silent. The cessation of blood flow sets off a specific chain reaction. The rapid loss of oxygen forces the tissue into a severe energy crisis, disrupting the environment inside the skull. Dropping to the floor unconscious is a surface-level symptom. Down at the microscopic level, a chaotic biological process of dying is only just starting. To understand this process, we have to look at how cells power themselves. The brain relies on a molecule called ATP, adenosine triphosphate, which functions as the usable fuel for cellular machinery. Generating this fuel requires oxygen, and the brain demands a massive, continuous supply of it just to keep its ion pumps running and maintain its baseline electrical state. When oxygen starvation halts ATP production, the result looks remarkably like a sprawling city experiencing a catastrophic power grid failure. The different regulatory centers of the brain do not shut off all at once. Deprived of energy, different regions lose power and drop offline at varying, uneven intervals. Without continuous ATP generation, the brain cannot maintain its tightly controlled internal environment. The entire structure begins to collapse from the cellular level outward. Zooming in past the larger structures, we can watch this exact failure happen in a single individual neuron. Denied its ATP fuel, the cell's membrane ion pumps grind to a halt. The neuron can no longer regulate its internal charge, leading to depolarization, a complete loss of electrical balance. This loss of voltage control opens specific membrane channels, triggering a massive influx of extracellular calcium into the cell. This sudden flood forces the neuron's synaptic terminals to aggressively dump their stores of glutamate out into the surrounding space. This creates a biochemical overload known as excitotoxicity. The excess glutamate overstimulates neighboring neurons, causing them to take in even more calcium, essentially stimulating the adjacent cells to death. The physical consequences are severe. Free radicals form, the cell swells with fluid, its internal cytoskeleton breaks down, and the membrane eventually ruptures. The cell itself does not just peacefully suffocate. Due to the energy crisis, the neuron's own chemical transmission mechanisms destroy it from the inside out, in a violently compounding reaction. Zooming back out to the larger brain, this cellular reality disproves the popular idea that death occurs via a synchronized instantaneous off switch. The specific sequence of these cellular failures varies widely based on the underlying cause. Sudden cardiac arrest will trigger a different timeline of tissue collapse compared to slow progressive hypoxia. But across many scenarios, medical equipment has recorded transient electrical surges during the dying process. This EEG chart, recorded during severe oxygen deprivation, displays the brain's electrical activity transitioning through a slow, flat, slow pattern, eventually flattening completely. Because of these late-stage bursts, people often assume they represent a profound near-death experience or a sudden flood of memories. The biological reality is mechanical. These final surges happen because the ion gradients maintaining electrical boundaries have failed, causing millions of neurons to indiscriminately short-circuit and fire in their final moments. The transition out of life is a deeply complex biological battle. What we see on the monitors is a highly advanced system fighting to maintain equilibrium until the very last cell fails.